All right, episode 53. I feel like it's been a really fucking long time since we did this.
Has been.
When was the last one?
4 weeks ago, maybe?
It's been at least 4 weeks.
The week before you went to Pinehurst.
Yeah, because I left on a Wednesday. I think. Yeah, I left on a Wednesday, so that kind of cut that Wednesday out. And then I got back like the next week on a Tuesday, which I was like, I really didn't feel like.
Right.
I was because I did Cookie helped me drive home, but I did a lot of driving down and back. So.
And then you got your shot the following week.
I did get my shot the following week.
Shot
number 1. Did you get yours yet?
I got the Johnson.
Oh, that's right. You told me you had Johnson & Johnson. And you're still like, you're worried about having a reaction. Because you have a history.
Yes.
Not because he's against it.
Right.
I went to sign up for the Johnson & Johnson one the other day. It was all full.
Oh, just to get the one shot.
Yeah.
I feel like it was much easier that way. Although I don't think the first one like affects you as much as it's the second one. I think that has gotten people.
Yeah, I think it's everyone just. I don't know. I go the 12th, 2 weeks to get my other one. Then
I woke up and my left shoulder blade was killing me, and I'm like, you know what? This is the worst I feel. And then about 10 a.m., I just hit a wall for about 6 hours.
Like just didn't feel well?
No, just tired.
Oh, tired.
Dead tired. And then it was like 4:30. I feel like nothing happened. It was odd. About 24 hours after I got it.
Yeah. Oh, it looks like there's a crack in that door. There's actually not. Like, why is the light on in there? I think it's just reflection.
Just checking how straight the door is.
Yeah. So yeah, we've missed a ton. And we didn't really like. I wrote down some like stuff like we might want to talk about. The big thing going on, and it's my own fault. I have not been keeping up the NCAA tournament.
It's been a hell of a tournament.
I did see it's Houston, Baylor, UCLA, Gonzaga.
Yep.
So I would try to. Now we're down to 4. I definitely need to make it like a definite attempt to watch those games. The one thing I did notice though on Twitter, I see a lot of like the officiating stuff. Seen a ton of tweets like officials are terrible, like yada yada.
First time I really noticed it was, Sunday, Michigan, Florida State. I didn't watch most of the game, but the fouls ended up being like 22-8. And every time Florida State was driving, they were just getting pounded body-wise, and there was no calls. And then when Michigan played, who they played, UCLA last night, UCLA was driving, they were calling fouls, and then they got beat. You could see there was a difference in how the officiating was being called. But
so I noticed prior to the tournament, I noticed it a lot this year. I didn't really talk about it, but I noticed it a lot. It used to piss me off. The charge call has been driving me nuts this year in college basketball.
There's been a lot more, and I think a lot more guys driving are lowering their. I don't think it's a charge, but as soon as they start to lower their shoulder, they're just calling it.
So the problem I've noticed is it creates what it does. It puts the ref in an awkward situation because now he's going to make a call.
Right.
A good ref, if it's neither here nor there, they're going to tell you, it's nothing.
Get up and
play. And that's what needs to happen because I've seen some of these calls like they call a charge. Like guys are on fast breaks. Guy runs down the court, gets in front of a guy and stops like real quick.
Right.
And then takes it. It's like, that's not a charge.
Yeah.
And that's, to me, like that's the shit they need to put a kibosh on. And I've seen a ton of that this year. And I'm like, those are not charges. You can't just jump in front of a guy in a fast break, stop for a split second, and be like, well, I had the space, I had control. And you didn't. The definition of that is a player control foul.
Yeah.
And most of these times, I don't feel like these guys are out of control going to the basket, but they're allowing guys to stop like on a split second. They're like, that's not a charge.
Yeah.
That's not a charge.
Yeah. The only thing I really enjoyed when they came out with it was the scheduling, with those first days being Friday, Saturday.
For the tournament.
Yeah, because you got all day basketball Friday, Saturday. Right. There was games every hour. Whereas usually we see all day Thursday, Friday, and then Saturday there's going to be like 2, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Right.
So it did help, but then I didn't like it once we got to the second weekend and it was Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. because it felt like it would just like drag out more. Even though the tournament's not any longer than it.
Right.
The tournament's still Final Four still Saturday, championship Monday, just like it is always every year. But just felt like waiting those days and then Saturday, Sunday. You're right. Saturday and Sunday there was a game at 2, 5, 7, 10.
Yeah, last week I looked for games and I'm like, must be they're not. Again, out of the loop. I was just too busy.
Yeah, it was, and I didn't like. I thought it was very odd. Obviously, being in Indianapolis or in Eastern Time Zone, I thought it was very odd for them to have the games Monday, Tuesday at 7 and 10. I don't know. And
Are they Eastern?
Yeah. So I don't know what they were playing. They were playing on different courts because Lucas Oil they split into 2 courts. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what the point was like doing 7 and 10. Like 10 o'clock obviously is late for obviously our college kids, but that's late to start a basketball game.
Yeah. Some of those schools too, I didn't realize they're not close. Like where they had the facility, some of them are like an hour and a half away.
Yeah, they're all over.
They'd be like hosting here, and like you have a court here and one in Rochester.
Yeah,
like they weren't actually that. I mean, technically same city, and by their definition, it's closer, but could be also 10 miles down the road because the traffic. It's an hour and a half. I don't know, but
I did like it being all in one city, but they can't do that. There aren't many cities you can, have that. You could go to the LAs and New Yorks and those big ones, but. Right, that ruins, I guess, the economy across the country at that point, right? Think about how many, there's 16 sites.
There's a lot of cities that can
the
handle
first and second round.
Amount, yeah.
So, yeah.
Like at Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah, like it helps those tiny places, but I enjoyed it, and I think I mentioned it, I don't know, probably a couple months ago. Signed me up for Gonzaga Baylor in the title game, and I'd be all in, and
that's
we got a chance for it, so.
Baylor's got, like, grown-ass man on their team.
Yeah, I think a very good matchup would be it's going to be hard to beat Gonzaga, but I think Gonzaga-Houston would be a very good game. Houston's very tough defensively. That's why Baylor's going to be a good game. I think Gonzaga wins by – you could tell me they're favored by 25, and I wouldn't flinch at it.
Gonzaga over Baylor?
Yeah, no, Gonzaga over UCLA.
UCLA, yeah.
Gonzaga is far superior to any of those teams. I think Baylor's the only team that could give them a run. Houston can't. I don't think Houston can score with them, where Baylor could.
I heard Bill Walton was pissed off that Pac-12 teams were in the bracket and can possibly play each other like prior to like the Elite Eight. Did you see that?
Everyone, there's always a possibility every year.
It's like,
so it doesn't.
Shut up, Bill Walton. Smoke a little more weed or whatever the hell. Acid. He's probably an acid.
Well, what had not happened? Everybody thought Michigan State was going to beat UCLA in the play-in game. So
yeah, that's true. No, I missed basketball because I was busy watching golf, and last weekend watched some dirt racing. Actually, it was Monday.
I didn't watch it.
It was on Monday because it kept getting postponed. But
was it postponed because of rain?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's dirt, so dirt/clay.
Right.
They also got enough rain down there that the parking lots were flooded.
Yeah, I did hear that.
Oh, really?
They said people couldn't get in and out of the track, so it wasn't just track conditions.
Yeah, it is harder though. Like it's tough to control that. Like when you get a ton of rain, it takes longer to work in the track. You almost got to rework at what you've already done, just because of the moisture. But dude, that's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I wish I would watch. I forgot. I remember I set a DraftKings lineup, and then like Sunday evening I looked, and that's why I think I texted you, boy, you were doing because racing wasn't on. But then I remembered I was like, oh, Monday I'll flip it on because it was like 4 o'clock or whatever it was, and then I forgot all about it again.
Truck race was at noon.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what helped me win money. DK Geezy texted me at like 3 o'clock, and he goes, "Hey, hurry up!" He goes, "Truex Jr. just did real well in the truck race. Hurry up and put him in your lineups." So I hurried up and
he did do really well. Yeah,
it helped me. But then I forgot all about it an hour later after I changed my lineup.
There was a guy in the truck series. He actually raced his first Cup Series. Texted you, Stuart Friesen.
Yep.
When I helped the guys with cars, we raced against him.
Oh, really?
He's got over 900 dirt wins in his career. Yep. He's from like the Syracuse area.
Okay.
So he races at like Fulton in that area. And then he'd come down here. I want to say like you'd see him like 2 or 3 times a year for bigger races. He'd show up. And the guys I helped, they had this weird thing. Like they always parked like way the fuck out in the pits. Like, cause it's just a big field. So he always parked like way out away from everybody. And Friesen had a hauler that was like, it looked like extended semi for the body, and then it had like the hauler that had like 3 cars in it or some shit. So he was like parked out by us because he had space. But I was telling Russ, he had a hauler's probably worth almost $200,000.
It's worth more than the Woodhall Raceway.
Yeah, you ain't shitting. I mean, he had some backing too. That's you knew. I mean, he was one of those guys when he showed up. You're like, Friesen's here tonight. Like people knew like who he was. There was a couple guys, but he was one of them. And I want to say we may have raced against him down in Rolling Wheels, which is down on 81, off 81. I think that's the name of it, Rolling Wheels. It's down off 81, like not on the other side of Binghamton. But
Yeah.
Were there a lot of guys that raced in both?
There were
a few,
multiple. Yeah. I don't know all. I know Bubba Wallace did both. Truex Jr. I don't know how many. But.
Yeah, there was a few. Friesen, he had a. So he finished 12th in a truck race and like 20th-ish in the car.
Didn't see where he finished.
Do you think they did it so that when they race the trucks, they get a better feel for it, and then
It's possible.
because obviously it was the same day, so had a better feel for the track.
I mean,
or
originally it
not?
wasn't supposed to be that way.
Right.
I think those guys throw their name in the hat that they want to race in the truck race, probably for that reason. But I think there's a lot of the team owners in the truck series that have contracts with guys that aren't for every race, so they'll have different guys that'll drive the same truck, and probably had guys that didn't want to race in the dirt, so they were looking for guys.
I definitely saw adjustments they made. So they did like a pit after every stage.
Yep.
And the pit wasn't like you didn't lose your spot
Yeah.
in line like where you were, and it wasn't like over the wall, hurry up. They gave them 3 minutes
3 minutes.
because they didn't have a pit crew there. They were all mechanics and stuff.
Oh.
And I think they obviously ran dirt tires. I believe they were only allowed to change their tires
Twice.
during those pit stops
Yep.
at the end of the stage.
Yep.
So
Did they give him a car wash too in between?
Yes. Windshields.
Well,
So,
yeah, but I was wondering about like the mud underneath
you don't always want to do that.
yeah.
It helps keeps the car on the ground.
on the ground,
Yeah.
heavier.
But they had guys, and they showed guys in the trucks had like these like window things, like it would.
Yeah, like almost like a Swiffer.
Yeah.
They were magnetized to their frame, so they could pull it off and clean the inside of the
Oh,
windshield.
the actual like racers.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I think somebody did it during the race because a guy came over the radio and it was a guy in front of him. He's like, he just reached out his window. And I think he cleaned his windshield. And that was the one thing I said to you. I texted you and I said, they should have found a way to run these cars. Because I'll be honest, I saw a lot of really dumb tweets. Like, oh, they showed the in-car cam. You can't see shit. It's like,
Like race on dirt.
it's called dirt. Yeah.
What do you-
But I texted you and I said, I wish they would have found a way to take the windshields off because that actually would have helped the drivers. So you take those modifieds and stuff, they don't have windshields. Their helmets have, they're called tearaways. So you throw them on, and then when they get muddy and shitty, like you just,
Oh, it like peels off.
it just peels off. Then you got a new, so you'll be watching a race and all of a sudden you see these things just like floating in the air. And that's all it is. It's a tearaway. They just rip off real quick while they're driving.
So there's like multiple layers on it, and they just gotcha.
Yeah. Or I knew a lot of guys that would keep like a grease rag in the car, and it was just like kind of between their legs, and
Yeah.
you hit the helmet and keep it going.
Yeah. And that's how the windshields are too. They have like 20
Right, yeah.
tearaways on there. Yeah, it would have been interesting to see these guys in the, like a modified dirt car.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I know, like when you think about Woodhall, the size of Woodhall, that track is tiny, right? And that
It's like a quarter mile.
even relative to Bristol.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
Bristol's like 3/4 of a mile.
I don't remember exactly. It's
Woodhull
small,
might
though.
not be a quarter, but it's small.
Yeah. So a little bit different racing. They'd be going to the corners much faster at Bristol. I mean, they still almost hit 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, they were hitting 100, doing corners of like 80-ish.
So on one hand, I was with you. It would have been interesting to see these guys jump in a completely different car.
Yep.
But I also get like, hey, this is NASCAR. This is our car. Go out and deal with it on the dirt. And I kind of get that aspect of it.
So they had, I'm pretty sure, but they had a modified race there the weekend before, and Logano ran a car.
Yeah, so did Chase Elliott. Because remember, I showed you that picture of Chase Elliott's car.
With the late model, yeah.
Thinking that's what they were running.
Yep.
But no, that was actually what he drove last weekend there. So.
It was a ton of fun to watch, but I said to Ailey and I were watching, I'm like, it's still fun to watch like a modified because of the suspensions on them.
Right.
Like just those guys drive it hard in the corner and just throw it sideways, and you just see guys going in like you could barely put a slice of paper between them. They're just going.
Right. Are they gonna do it again?
Yep. They announced during the Cup race Monday that it's officially on the schedule for next year.
Okay.
Another dirt race.
There's Eldorado or whatever it is, Eldoro. Let's look it up. It's out in like Ohio. It's another dirt race that some of those guys race in.
Gotcha.
I mean, I assume Bristol's the only one they would do that in because obviously they don't bring as much dirt, clay.
Length.
Yeah.
So
that would be a shitload that they'd have to bring.
They listed it,
the
didn't
old
they?
track is just over half a mile, 0.533 miles.
Bristol's?
Yes.
Okay.
Didn't they say it was like over like 2,100 truckloads?
I didn't hear that, but I was going to mention, like, you think about all the dust that, not just the track, but all the dust that flew around and everything, like, that's got to be a nightmare to clean that up.
It is.
I mean, obviously they've thought of that and they've got a process, but that's not just like a one-day thing, I wouldn't think.
Who's this guy?
No, they've got good equipment. It probably helps cleaning it up on the track that it's one asphalt underneath it, so you're not just keep digging.
Yeah.
But they said they brought in the base layer was actually sawdust.
Oh, yeah.
And then they packed it in on top of that.
Did you see how thick they kept it?
Yes. They actually said they had it down to a science, like they knew like to the millimeter what they were packing it. I was trying to look up like how much dirt they put on there, but
Russ, did you have Fogarty to get his first career NHL goal tonight?
No, I did not.
I don't know who the hell that guy is.
So yeah, it was interesting.
Fun to watch.
I was reading tweets and like people were, can't see shit out of it. I'm like, yeah, shut up.
Yeah.
More than 2,000 truckloads of dirt.
2,000 truckloads.
It's more like a clay.
I remember when they built my parents' house, and they took like 50 out of there, and I was like, that's a lot.
2,000.
2,000.
Yeah, it's closer to like a clay consistency. It's very like
That's all I
wet
have
too,
down
it's
there,
like
too, is clay.
clunky and shit. But
That's why I playing baseball down there in that area. It's just all on clay. Like you slide, it's just you get up and your pants are red.
like that, the red clay. So if we got to make a Woodhull trip this summer, if we allow fans, we got to go up there and like.
I'm actually searching that right now. I wanted to see
How big the bull ring
how
is.
long that track
The
is.
bull ring.
That's what they call it, dude. The bull ring. Did you watch that video I sent you the other day
I watched a little bit of it, yeah.
from my like heydays? I didn't realize how old I was. It made me feel old. It's like 2013. I had a GoPro we used to strap to the car. I used to have a bunch of other footage too. We'd strap a GoPro to like the bar above like the driver's head.
Oh, yeah.
Tried a couple other places. You got to be careful. One, GoPros aren't cheap. Two,
Right.
It's not just clean dirt out there. There are some rocks that come flying. So we used to tether it with zip ties to the back of the window, like behind the drivers. And we had some cool stuff like on, like go out like during hot laps or whatever and like throw it on. But that's when the track's really muddy. So sometimes you'd pick up a lot of mud and like you'd think you'd have good shit, and then you'd throw the card in the computer like on
Just all brown.
and like you get like 5 laps in and like this mud would just hit the camera and it was there the rest of the race. You're like, well shit, that didn't work. But I used to have some cool stuff. There used to be a video out on YouTube. We went over to Black Rock, Dundee, over in that area one time for a big race. And if you've ever been over there, they don't pull the fans, but those cars, they just run wide open over there. So Woodhull, you got to like, it's banked and you got to brake going in. Over there, it's pretty much just running wide open. So when you wreck, it's excessive.
Right.
And they got these turtlebacks on the corners on the inside the infield. And it was dark out. And your view from the pits to the track is different than Woodhull, because Woodhull, you're kind of elevated so you can see down onto the track. And we had a big race at Woodhull that weekend, but they had a Friday night at Dundee. So we're like, yeah, let's take the car over. Like, we can win some cash. So we're in the pits watching, running wide open, starting to get dusty for the feature. The next thing I know, I see a car just get past like the flag stand and just start tumbling. Like just it hit and it just started like rolling. and it was a black car, and that's what we had. And I'm like, holy shit! And like it was right around where like Bobby was running. And I'm like, oh, and like it just you don't know,
Right.
And then the cars circle around, and like we're up by the fence, like looking, like, is he there? Is he there? Yes, here he comes. And he like, it was like he didn't have it. I had a GoPro on the car. I wish I still had that footage. Car flipped. He drove under it. He had nowhere to go, so he just like he kind of like dove to the left and like right underneath it. And there used to be a video out on YouTube. Somebody was filming in the infield that night and caught the whole wreck coming across the flag stand. Him driving under the car. Looked like something out of a damn movie. And we were so pumped. We came out of it unscathed, and like 5 laps left. Somebody spun him out, and somebody didn't hit the brakes and just right in the side of the car. So it was a late night with the. I was gonna text you. I saw some. They're in the pits with a big rubber mallet. Like, dude, that thing brings back memories. 10 snips and rubber mallets, but
Woodhall's a 1/3 of a mile.
yeah,
Not much smaller.
dude, it's the old bull ring, man.
2/10 of a mile is a lot of dirt to bring in, though.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they have a contest every year. They used to. It's called King of the Ring. The guys that go out and race. It was a blind draw. You race 1-on-1 for a lap. Winner stays. You just do that for it was like a special they do in between races. And Bobby won it the one year and won like $600. It was a good time. All right. Enough dirt racing. Let's talk some golf. What did we miss? We had match play, which I was home for.
Match play players.
Players, which I think I was in Carolina for.
Yep. There was a Honda in between, but that was it.
In the Honda. And we got the Masters next week.
Masters next week.
So if you're listening to this, don't call me between Thursday and Sunday. I'm not answering. Unless you're calling me to tell me you're coming here to watch the tournament. Match play. Might be one of my favorite tournaments. And I think it's completely undervalued by some people.
Yeah. I enjoy watching it.
Yeah, so do I.
It's a match play. I would. Obviously, you're a much better golfer than I am. I would much rather play match play against you than stroke play. You know,
it's more exciting.
It's more exciting, and it evens the playing field a little bit.
Oh, you're playing.
You could come back from 5 down if a guy has one bad hole, but especially for those guys, very rare one of them going to put up like a 8 on a hole.
Right, but it's one hole.
Right.
They're done with it and they go on to the next one. Saw a couple of that this weekend. Guys dump it in the water in that par 3, hit 2 in the water, like, let's go to the next tee.
Yeah.
Just keep it moving.
So I don't dislike Billy Horschel, but I can't stand watching him play golf.
His little idiosyncrasies.
Yeah.
He's so slow.
I
love his swing, but yeah.
He is like, when Ron texted us, and I basically made a comparison, he's pretty much the Nomar Garciaparra of golf.
Yeah.
Garciaparra's little, after every pitch, he'd get out and adjust his batting gloves. That's what I think of when I think of
I
Billy
forgot about the
Horschel.
old Nomar.
Yeah. It's painful to watch, in my opinion.
I saw a lot of stuff about the slow play. I saw Mark Kalkovackia tweeted something like, oh, my kid went and played 18 today, had a couple beers, went home, grilled out, and the tournament wasn't over. I almost felt like saying, well, your kid wasn't playing for $1.8 million.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that relative to the slow play. It's just
No, Horschel is very
it's
deliberate.
Just trying to understand what the hell he's even doing.
So I did hear early in the week they asked him about that, and he said he's just trying to get comfortable, like when he putts.
Yeah. Well, but it's funny when he putts. As soon as he finally when he gets set over, it's like boom, it's
Pulls
gone.
the trigger.
Yeah.
As soon as he's like,
that whole creeping up on the ball, he said, is like part of his process of he lines the ball up and then he sneaks up on it, he says.
I might bite him.
I don't. Yeah.
hey, you gotta watch out.
I don't know.
I'm so glad they went to the pool play.
It makes a much. Well, it's been about 7-8 years, I think.
I'm not
since
sure.
they changed.
But I'm glad they did.
But yeah, it makes it much easier. Gives guys. I mean, obviously, I'm sure you guys are surprised too. Only one of the top seeds in those group plays got through. Which I think shows the
Rahm, wasn't it?
Yeah, Rahm was the only top seed to get through, which is good to see. And it obviously shows parity how good some of these other guys are, right? I mean, you saw who Kuchar played, was it Harmon in like the quarters? they were like 54 and 52 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
It's like, like 10 years ago, you wouldn't have saw that. You might have saw one of those guys get through, but you wouldn't have saw. And obviously, even what Horschel and Scheffler were 30 and 32.
So, yeah.
I mean, they were like 2 seeds in their group plays, but still, in the past, I don't think you would have seen that much parity amongst all the guys.
I screwed up because when I did our picks for our pool, I jokingly typed up our picks. I still need yours, by the way.
Oh yeah,
you're the last one. I put down Fratelli, Scheffler, and Spieth. Then I was like the All Texas crew, and I was like, nah, it's just too cheesy. So I made other picks. I think I kept Spieth in there. Then of course as the week went on, I'm like, you're an idiot. And then I knew better after the fact. So University of Texas has their own course, but they also
They always play there all the time.
I
I picked those 3 were big in my DraftKings lineup last week.
Yeah, because they all play there all the time. Then I was like, no, it can't be right. The All Texas crew. Then I'm like, oh, you're an idiot. You probably should have picked them. I'm an idiot.
Yeah, some of those guys like Kuchar smoked Thomas the first day there.
Yeah.
I think everybody thought Thomas would play well, obviously coming off the players and everything else. It's
could be a winter hangover.
Yeah, but
to me, it also an upset in this tournament isn't nearly as shocking as a 1 seed losing in the NCAA tournament. Because a name like Matt Kuchar winning and moving on, to me, doesn't surprise me at all. No matter what rank you have next to him.
And golf is so damn deep, right?
Yeah.
This week we got the Valero Texas Open. They didn't have it last year, but 19, Corey Connors won it, and he Monday qualified into that year.
Right.
Mm-hmm. You take the top 64. Anybody can be beat any day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if you have 4 or 5 bad holes, you're probably done. Right?
I think it was you and Ron in Texas. I said this might be the hardest tournament on tour to win. Just because, you have to get out of the pool play.
Yeah, you got to grind it out.
And then it's
36 Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
So,
you can win
36, but
you could have a relatively bad round and still win a stroke play tournament. You can't do that in this.
Right.
A bad round, you're going home.
Unless you're in the finals and one guy makes a birdie.
Yeah, that was not the best golf watching the tournament.
There was some poor choices, I thought, by Scheffler, but
it was tough to tell if they were getting tired or.
Yeah, it could be with Scheffler with his legs, everything started going left.
Horschel didn't look like he ever got tired, but he was just hitting center of the green and it felt like he was 2-putting and he just missed quite a few birdies. He was just burning edges, but he was just hitting center of the green and it felt like Scheffler was trying to push it and it hurt him a couple times.
The bunker shot Horschel hit. I was 16. Par 5?
Oh, from the
17. So
17 was par 3.
I think it was 16. He needed it looked like he was going to be done there, and then he made par.
The one
he laid up to the wedge, and then he hit the wedge
over
15 yards long.
Yep, and he did it earlier in the round. I don't know what hole it was, 12, 13.
The one by the
12,
water.
Yeah. The par,
but that
par
bunker shot on 16,
yeah.
I text you. I'm like, people have no idea how good that was.
Yeah.
Most people have no idea. That ball wasn't plugged, but it was basically plugged.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were like, it just hopped out, and I was like, it still looks like it's under a little bit.
Yeah, that was a really good bunker shot. I think that was probably the sealer right there. But
yes.
Yeah, I love the match play, and I watched a shitload of that.
I guess I never realized how much Scheffler's feet move. Because obviously you're watching him, during regular tournaments, but, obviously the camera was on him a lot over the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, and it was dude, he is all over the place.
I think that's why Poulter made a really good point today. He posted something about the whole slow play thing. He was like, keep in mind, it may have seemed slow to you, but there was only 2 matches on the golf course.
Right. Yeah.
Where does the camera go in between?
Yeah.
So, you're going to see a lot of in between. And
they mentioned it, and it was 4 hours and 20 minutes. It wasn't bad, because they started 3:30. It wasn't terrible.
That's normal then.
Yeah.
That is absolutely normal. So
I think that's a good point. Yeah, with 2 matches, what are you going to show?
It's not like you bounce around and show a shot after shot after shot.
Yeah.
We'd be really terrible podcasters if we didn't talk about the Kevin Na, Dustin Johnson situation, which I did some more digging on today.
So, all right. you want to tell us what you dug, or do you want our opinions, or what?
I kind of know your opinion, but yeah, your opinions.
I mean, clearly it was a no-brainer gimme, okay? But the bottom line is it's not good until the other guy says it's good.
Correct.
And when Dustin rolled the putt and basically quick raked it, didn't even give Na a chance to say it's good.
Club pro guy, be proud.
Yeah. That's 100% Dustin Johnson's fault.
Correct.
Now, Kevin Na clearly was going to give it to him, etc. But a guy like Dustin Johnson, of his stature, has to know that it's not good until it's good, especially in a match play tournament.
Yeah.
We saw, I don't remember the tournament. It was one of the girls' amateur tournaments a couple years ago. Remember this scenario? Where
Was it the Solheim Cup with Suzanne Pedersen?
No,
I thought it was an NCAA.
This was, yeah, it might have. It was an amateur.
I think it was an NCAA tournament.
Yep, where this exact scenario happened and got blown up in golf media, where the girl did the same thing. She rolled it, it missed, and she immediately picked it up. And based on those amateur rules or whatever that tournament was, the other girl wasn't allowed to give it to her because she had already picked it up.
Yeah, I think it was the national championship. I don't know why Oregon's sticking in my head, like Oregon, Stanford, Oregon, USC or something.
So, to anyone that maybe doesn't play golf or doesn't play match play style tournaments, it may seem like a ticky-tack kind of thing. Right. Dustin Johnson has to know that putt is not good until Kevin Na says that's good.
Even if it's somewhat implied.
Right.
So, I completely agree. I didn't like how Na handled it, like calling him all the way back down. So I had it on mute, so I wasn't listening because I was in the waiting room at the doctor's. So I was just watching, when I saw Dustin walking back down the hill, I was like, "Oh, I bet you he didn't give him the putt." Mm-hmm. But then obviously I didn't know till after I got home later that night when I looked. Let there not be light.
Yeah.
But so I don't know. Maybe you guys can tell me. Did Johnson walk away and then Na called him back down to talk to him about it?
So if that's the case, I think I did read Na still had a 3-footer. So maybe DJ just was going to make him putt it and walked away.
Okay. Because I thought he called him down. I was like, couldn't you just talk to him on the next tee and told him instead of calling him back down to the green, telling him about it, and then
I don't quite know that.
So
part of the story.
I've heard both sides of that. Why didn't he do it the next tee or whatever? Right. And to your point,
he ended up giving it to him. Right.
So then to your point, you said it happened before. You can't give it after it's right. It's already been picked up.
And is there, maybe you're getting into this, I don't know, but is there some sort of rule in match play where you need to understand who won that hole before you leave that hole kind of situation? Yes. So that could play into that.
So I think the rule change, there is a rule change in place now that if you were to pick up a putt not conceded, you can put it back, no penalty. They have changed that if there's a misunderstanding.
Like just the other day or before that? Before this all happened.
Okay, so here's what I found, because earlier in the week I'd heard the announcer say, there's a walking official with every group.
Right.
Which I still don't know how true that was, because I felt like at times they still had to wait for an official to show up for rulings.
Right.
So I'm like, what official's walking with the group? I agreed 100% with Kevin Na, because in my opinion, it's not about how long the putt was. You're putting on a difficult situation, especially if there's an official in the group.
And before you get to your thing, I'm guessing if that was, I'm just going to make up a name. I don't know if this would be true. If that was Scotty Scheffler, would he have done the same thing? Obviously, Na's a veteran on the tour.
Good question.
But, would Scheffler have done the same thing? Or how would someone younger have handled that with DJ being who he is? I'm curious how they would have handled that.
Yeah.
So here's what I found. I actually found an article where they talked to a rules official after the fact. So he said, the first player I talked to was Dustin, and I asked Dustin to please explain to me what had occurred on the 11th hole and what led to him lifting his ball. And he said, I saw that he had missed the putt, and I said I wanted to hear in his words what exactly happened that made you think you could lift the ball, and that putt was lift the ball, and that the putt was conceded. And he said, while I was walking towards the hole, it was windy. I thought I heard him say, it's good. So I scooped it away. And I said, so you heard him say, that's good? And he said, yes, I did. I didn't think anything of it, and I walked away, and I wasn't until later that Kevin came up to me and said, hey, I didn't concede that putt, just so you know, next time make sure. Because Johnson said there was a miscommunication, he would have been allowed to replace the ball without penalty. It's rule, looks like 3.2-B, 2 in parentheses. But because Na said he was going to concede the putt, we're not going to make them take the putt back and place it. If Johnson had told the rules committee he had not heard Na, and the two had said, well, I'm going to overlook it, I'm going to concede that putt, that would have been a disqualification for both players. So that explains a little more why Na, again, in a difficult situation, he's got to, that's why he said something. Whether he knew that rule or not, it still puts him in an awkward situation.
So if you have a 3-footer, you should just pull it away quick and be like, sorry, I thought you said it was good.
And the more I think about it, Na's 100% correct in this.
Right. Oh, yeah.
He had every right to say, dude, just give me a second to say it's good, even though it's implied. Ultimately, what Dustin believed he heard, and of course in golf, we always take players at their word. The rules are based on that. People are always acting with honesty, integrity, and that's what went into them making a decision. There's also a rule in match play that you cannot concede a putt after it's been picked up, technically. Mm-hmm. So in the new rule change, if there was a miscommunication, he could have put the ball back and not could have conceded the putt.
Okay.
But if they would have walked to the next hole, and technically what Na did isn't right. Because he could have put it down. That's why they said, the rules official talked to him and said, that's why we didn't, basically we just kind of let it go, because had they got a ruling there and they would ask him the same questions, he can put the ball back and he can just say, okay, it's good.
Right.
But if they just ignore that, Na could have been an asshole and probably just taken the hole. I don't think some people understand that either.
Yeah. And Na came back and won that match, right?
Yeah. He won one up.
Yeah. I was getting my shots in my eyes, but I went back and looked at the match, and after that happened, it looked like DJ fell apart. It was in his head almost.
Na made some putts.
Right.
I think he made some putts coming down the last couple of holes, but
they said, even I read some tweets that said DJ looked out of sorts after that happened.
Yeah. Well, he always looks like he doesn't give a shit out there, but
right, true.
And as awkward as that conversation may have looked, imagine if nothing was said and they got 2 holes later, and you check in, hey, I've got you 2 holes up, and then he says, well, no, I'm only 1 up, or whatever, and then you've got to try to figure out where the discrepancy is. Imagine the awkwardness of trying to figure that out.
Think about that, even entirely this situation, but in stroke play, right? If I think it was at the AT&T Pro-Am this year, someone's ball moved in the fairway when he set his club down, and they were trying to figure out if it was his club that made it move or it just moved. I forget who it was, but they didn't.
They were in the final group. They didn't assess until later.
Yeah, they didn't assess penalty until 3 holes later, and it's so then. Obviously, on the hole, he took par. Let's say he took par on the hole when it moved. It was the first hole, I think. And then, on hole 4, instead of taking a 4, he had to take a 6 on that hole because that's when they assessed it. But getting that assessment, luckily for him, it was early on in the round. Can you imagine doing that on 15 and on 17 or 18?
You mean you did to Lexi Thompson?
Well, didn't it happen
the day before?
Well, Rahm, right? Rahm during the Memorial last year, remember? Amanda had to ask him in the interview after.
Oh, yeah, about his chip shot.
Tell him about his chip shot, his penalty.
Yeah.
Obviously, in that case, it didn't matter, but same thing, right? It's because they wait so long to assess those. They go back and look at the video for half an hour, and it's just make a determination. Take 2 or 3 minutes right there. Make a determination, and that's what it is. You
know what is really frustrating about? I'm trying to think who that was. I remember it vividly because he called over his playing partners and stuff, and never talk about it. It's so dumb because by the rules of golf and definition, you have to have intent in your swing, right, to be considered a stroke.
Right.
So why is it a penalty if you set your club down and the ball moves? There was no intent there.
Yeah, because if you're taking a practice stroke, didn't Zach Johnson do it at the Masters last year before?
Scheffler did it a few weeks ago.
Yeah,
took a practice putting stroke and it went sideways.
Or Wolf,
or Matt Wolf,
yeah. If he hits it in his practice swing, it doesn't count as anything.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, you set your club
And the ball
an inch
rolled
behind
that
it, and
way.
it moves just enough, and it's like
It's
it
the
makes
dumbest
no
thing in the
sense.
world.
Makes no sense.
Golf is hard. It was like T. Willis, stat boy, who's not here tonight. He was like, yeah, we were talking about this rule earlier. Because I said, I keep hearing, like, I thought I heard they said they could be DQ'd. Do you know anything about this? He's like, I don't. We were talking about it. And he's like, it's probably somewhere in the decisions book, which is like the size of the Bible. Like, it's like the rule book, then a decisions book, which is 100% correct. That thing is like the Bible.
I love watching the Valero just because there's some guys that, right, they have to win to get into the Masters. So those guys that aren't in yet.
Yeah.
Because those are the guys that, you know, you want to put money on maybe. And because, you know, they're the ones that are fighting for it. Where some of these other guys are getting in there just to get another week of golf in so they're ready for next week for the Masters.
Pulling hard for Joel Damon this week.
Yeah, that hell of a win by him last week.
That was crazy.
I was listening to an interview with his caddy. He was on Tour Junkies, which is I listened to for DraftKings. They had him on. They know him and Joel. They've done some stuff with him, so they had him on. I think it was Monday night, and he said a couple of times. He said Joel hasn't been playing well, and he said a week ago he said they I don't know, it's players maybe he missed the cut. But he goes, we were coming down to 18th players, and I looked and I said, dude, you're hitting the ball very well. We're going to miss the cut by like 2, but you're hitting the ball well. It's going to come around. And sure enough, obviously, came around this week.
Yeah, he missed, 6 of his last 7 cuts or something like that.
So, but he said it was just, he said I had full confidence in him. He said at one point, and I guess they showed it. I didn't watch any of the coverage, but it was like 12th or 13th hole. Joel wanted to hit a 3-wood, and he goes, I looked at him and was like, what the hell are you hitting a 3-wood for? Where are you hitting it? He goes, in that bunker. He says, why do you want to be in that bunker? Wasn't that a good spot? He goes, no, how about 50 yards short of the green? It's a lot easier from there than the 30-yard bunker shot you're going to hit. He said they argued back and forth in the fairway for like 20 minutes. He goes, then he up and hitting the 3-wood. They were in a bunker when it happened, when they were arguing about it, and he topped the 3-wood out, and he said he's always got comments, but he goes, I guess he always tweets about him, like if Joel mentioned something funny during the round, but he hasn't been playing well, so he hasn't been tweeting about it because he doesn't want to, make the situation worse. But Joel tops it out of the bunker and it rolls like 50 yards. As he walks out the bunker, he goes, can I reach the green from there? he goes, yeah, you got like 210 into a 30-mile-an-hour wind, but you can get there from there.
So I don't think I've told you yet. I found out who Club Pro guy was.
You found out?
Yes.
CPG guy.
Well, yes. So I played with a guy the first 2 days at Pinehurst.
Oh, no.
He's from Lubbock, Texas, and he is really good friends with, do you follow, what is it, West Texas Driving Range Pro?
I've seen it, but I don't follow him.
It's JJ Colleen. He actually Monday qualified into this week.
Oh, I saw the headline.
So those two are like, the guy I played with and JJ are really good friends.
Okay.
They play together. And we were talking about Club Pro guy, and he goes, well, JJ put on like some scramble like a year or two ago, and he kept posting pictures of this one hole that had like a porn shop sign in the background. Club Pro guy called him and said, I want to sponsor that hole for your tournament. And I said, well, who is it? And he goes, I've asked JJ the same question. He told me I could tell you the guy's name. It won't mean shit to you because it's not a former player. It's nobody famous. He's literally an average dude from Kansas City. There is nothing special about the guy. It's just like, it's his shtick, and that's what he does. And he's really popular in like the Texas area. But yeah, he said he's just an average dude from Kansas City.
I love that.
Because I always thought, I'm like, is it a former player? Like, these guys got it, and they're like, he's your normal dude from Kansas City.
Yeah, the rumor had floated around for a while that it was an older tour pro
Like
or
Scotty
something.
McCarron or something like that. Yeah,
I just thought there was no way that was somebody somewhat well known, and it was still a secret.
Right.
He would have been outed by now.
Yeah.
Yep. He said it's an average dude, and he said he was just like cool as hell. And we got talking out there on Sunday. We were playing number 2, and the guy's name was Dave, and he said JJ has a podcast. It's called For the People, and he does it with John Pedersen, who I think is caddying for him this week. And they both have played on tour. And he was telling me, like, JJ needs to make one cut on the PGA Tour. That's why he started playing again. He makes one cut, then he has, like, Korn Ferry Tour status. So he was saying like they have this podcast. It's called like For the People, and people like tweet in like, they like questions or something, and then they go on and like they tell old stories. They talk about what when they were out there playing. But he's like, I called JJ. He goes after we got done playing on Saturday, and he's like, JJ's like, how'd it go? And we literally finished in the dark Saturday. I had like a 3-footer for par. I had to leave the pin in to see the hole. That's how dark it was. And like Cookie yelled to me, like I come off the green. He's like, hey. I was like, I'm looking all over. I had no idea. And like he was like waving to me. I'm standing at scoring with like I had to take the guy's phone and like to read the scorecard to him to do in scoring. Like it was pitch black. And he's like, I called JJ when we got done. I was like, how was it? And he was like, oh, dude, I blew up on the last hole. Shot 78. And he was like, dude, there's so many fucking good players here. And the average score of the first day was 84.
That's crazy.
Like, that is insane. And he's like, we talk about all the time, like these guys that are like scratch think they can go out there and play on tour.
Right.
Yeah.
And he's like, there's so many good players here. Like, and average score of the first day was 84.
So that's what, I don't care what anybody says. I'm considering all three of you that went like top 50 club champs in the world. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that the other ones didn't show up or play. I'm still calling you top 50.
Dude, I mean, it would have been nice.
I got some questions if we're going to go to an hour.
We can. So we got a survey from them after the fact, like asking like basic questions, kind of like almost like a Survey Monkey kind of thing. And one of the things they asked is like time of year to have it, and I said April. It was my suggestion.
Yeah, you get a little more light.
Well, that's part of it because it was daylight savings the first day, and 4 groups didn't finish the first day. So I didn't know my tee time for Sunday.
And didn't you guys tee off like later the first day?
Yes, and they were a half hour behind. Then they didn't start tee times till like 11:30.
Yeah,
that seems. Yeah, I don't know. When you don't have what was our 140 guys, something like that, 150, whatever it was.
108 guys, 108 women, 108 seniors.
Okay, so 300.
But we didn't all play the same place.
Right.
We just rotated, right?
But yeah, why wouldn't you start that at like obviously people could struggle on those courses, right? Even if you started them at 9 o'clock and spaced them out every 15 minutes, you're gonna get through it. It feels like much quicker than you guys did.
So the course we played on Saturday, we played number 6.
You played 8 or 6,
6, 2, and 8.
6, 2, 8.
So we played 6, and none of us were slow players. Like the one lady came up to us who was like caddying for Dave as his wife, and she was like, none of you guys are slow. But we're trying to push daylight. You're playing almost 7,200 yards, and then it's not like the way 6 is set up. It's like in a giant community. It's not over on the main facility.
Oh, right.
It's all like it weaves between houses. Like all the holes have houses around it.
Yeah, so you got it's not like you're going.
So your travel from like green to tee in some of these holes could be lengthy.
Right.
It's like you guys aren't playing slow. It's just like it's that long to get to your golf ball.
You spent an hour traveling between holes instead of.
T-Dub wanted to carry the bag today. I'm like, I'll get you a cart. He's like, no. I'm like, dude, I played there yesterday. I'll get you a cart. Trust me on this one. I'll let you walk tomorrow at number 2. You want to walk number 8? I'm telling you right now, dude, you do not want to walk 6. Like, you're going to need a cart. He's like, all right.
Was he happy with the cart after?
His calves were still. He said that it's his watch or whatever still said he walked like 7 miles.
I was going to say, did you guys have your watch on? I'd be curious, like how
like between 7 and 8 miles every day.
Did you make him wash your balls?
Dude, not being funny. I'm trying to convince him to go caddy at Pinehurst. He had a conversation with the caddy master. He was very good at what he did.
I'm guessing Taylor was better than I was.
Taylor was very good.
You think?
I have one. He'll probably listen to this and laugh. We'll talk about it. I have one regret, and it wouldn't really made that much of a difference that day. On the last day on the 3rd hole, I kind of got boned. I hit a tee shot up the right side in the 2nd hole. And I thought it was fine. We got up there, and the hazard line comes way out by the car. I mean, the hazard line probably came 25 yards off the wood line, like all the way out near the fairway, like a foot off the cart path. And I'm like, well, I can get a club on it. But my ball had settled in like a hole, and it looked like a snake hole. But I'm in the hazard, so I can't take a drop.
Right.
So I got like this U-shaped mud, like the wall, and my ball's in it. And I'm like, I can't get a club on this. He's like, no, I think you can. I'm like, I can't get a club on this. I'll take the drop. I'll play for, try to make par if I make 6. It's better than making a big number because I would have had to try to get it, one a club on it and weave it between like 4 trees. So I just did the smart thing. I'm like, dude, it's second hole. Let's take it easy here. So I made 6. We get to the next hole. He beats me to the tee and he's got a yardage book on him that I bought. And he's like looking at it and it's my one, like, I wish I would have done the only hole I wish I would have done different. He gets up there and he just reaches in my bag and he just takes the head cover off and hands me the 3-wood. He goes, here you go, hit this. I'm like, well, we got to that bunker. Just hit that. And he's like, it's like 265 to that or 280 to that bunker. It was like up the left side. And the hole kind of sloped this way. I was like, all right. So I get up there and it was like a little cross. It was, dude, super windy on Monday. So probably like a 20-mile-an-hour wind like coming off the left. And I fan a 3-wood just a little bit. So now I've got like 210 into this hole straight up the hill. And I got to look at him like, dude, I should just hit the fucking driver. Like if I'm going to fan this thing, I'm like, whatever. I was like on the tee. He's like, dude, hit this. I'm like, all right. Like that was my only regret. I should have hit driver in the third hole, number 8, Taylor.
That's good. Trust in your caddy.
Dude, he was great. He was reading putts for me. It's so much different on you guys have played Myrtle Beach. It's so much different with Bermuda grass and grain. And he, I had him help me read putts and stuff. And he did a really good job at that. And even still, that was tough. Like they were very, some of the courses were really grainy.
I imagine as it's getting darker, it was a little harder to read the greens as well.
It was hard to see your ball at that point.
You didn't bring out the fluorescent orange yellow ball.
We were talking. So we started on the back that day. So we're on number 8. We're on the green, and one guy's where I'm like, should somebody go tee off 9? Like just go peg it right now. And there just happened to be a guy from the PGA there, and he goes, "It's up to your guys' discretion. We sent you a text." Now I didn't get the text till after the fact, but it was like up to us if we wanted to finish. So then we get over the 9T. We're waiting for the damn group in front of us, and we're all looking at each other. I'm like, dude, I do not want to come back here tomorrow morning at 8:00 and try to finish this. And they're like, nope, let's just do it. Dudes roll up behind us from the group behind us. They start bitching at us. What are you guys doing? You can't see? We can't finish. Dave's like, yeah, not my problem, pal. Like, if you don't want to finish, then don't finish. Like, we're getting out of here. Like, I don't want to come back tomorrow morning and do this. But, dude, Taylor did great. Like, I would 100% like take him again. Even though I told him that someone was lobbying for his job, and he said, "Is his name Russell?" I said, "No, it's Matt James."
So I got a couple questions. Because you played 6, 2, and 8. Throwing Tobacco Road in the case, which was your favorite course?
2.
Why?
Dude,
I didn't.
He struggled. He struggled with a follow-up question, so he just why?
Well, I didn't expect him to say 2. That's why it threw me off.
2's got history, dude.
Okay.
So I'll say this: before I ever went to Pinehurst, I never thought I wanted to go to Pinehurst. And then once I got there, I'm like, dude, you're an idiot for never wanting to come here.
Right.
There's so much history of that place. The clubhouse is like a museum when you walk down the hallways. They got all these like, cases and windows and stuff with shit in them. They have actually, I got a picture pull up.
What if I would have thrown the cradle in there with that?
Dude, that was a good time. I was drunk for that, but that was a good time. There's just so much damn history there. Here's a picture of, this was outside of the pro shop next to the bar. It is the replica trophies of all of like the championships they've had there. There's like USAM, PGA Championship, all those things are on there from over the years. And Cookie in the background posing. Yeah, it's just tee to green. Like I wish I would have gotten a chance to play 2 once before. Playing it blind, playing the last 2 rounds blind was tough.
I imagine like tee to green, it's probably okay. It's probably the greens that are.
Yeah. Anybody tells you Mark Twain's got Donald Ross greens, tell them to shut up and keep moving. Because I'm telling you right now, like I explained to Russ, I'm like, you're staying in the fairway. Like sight lines are unbelievable. Like you look out and it's a lot of waste areas. They got that pine grass, whatever they call it. It grows like 1.5 feet tall. You got bunkers that just look raggedy, which give it some character. And then you get out there and they look like you're trying to land on top of a soup bowl.
Right.
It's upside down. And it's not like Donald Ross greens we've played around here where it's like, well, the front slopes off.
Right.
The left side slopes off. It's like, no, the front slopes off. The left slopes off. The back side slopes off. The right side. And it doesn't just run off and stop because there's grass there. No, it's all shaved. So now everything's like, it was a different golf too, because now we do a lot of chipping around here.
Right.
I was better off hitting like 30-yard putts because it was just that much easier than trying to chip. But I think too it was fun. It is a great track. I mean, anybody that tells you that it's overrated, because I've heard that before, and it's not the best one there.
Yeah, that's what everyone says.
Yeah, I'm gonna call bullshit. Yeah, and we only played.
You didn't play 4. 4 is the one that everybody says like.
Yeah, Reed did 4.
But
Yeah, Reed did 4, which is they say is complementary to 2, but 2's just got so much history. I mean, I explained it to Russ. I'm like, it's one of those trips you got to make. You can't give a shit what you're spending.
Right.
You just can't. You just got to, but you got to do it.
Was Keimer the one that won there?
Yes.
Keimer, right?
Yep. I think I hit it into Keimer's divot off the tee on 5, but I didn't hit 7-iron in the middle of the green. I had a really bad lie.
What was the most difficult of the 4?
Overall, 2. 2's legit. 2 is fucking legit, dude. And I don't think 2 was even like playing as fast as they could have been around the greens, just because of the time
I imagine
of year.
like a couple months later, and it's probably
I wouldn't
even worse.
I could see over par winning the Open there. Cookie hit a shot in the 5th hole. I thought he hit a good shot. Hey, dude, because I got paired with him in the 2nd round.
Right.
Dude, good shot. Thanks, man. We get up there, guy's like, know where your ball's at? He's got his putter in his hand, like walk up the green. He's like, it's over there by 4 fairway. That thing rolled off the green, and it probably rolled 40 yards off the green. And then he hit the first chip, and it just a bit short, come back at his feet, and I seen him just throw the wedge, picked up the putter, and he literally, I mean, it was straight up the hill. He just like smacked as hard as he could with his putter. I mean, because because the grass was so thin, like trying to hit a wedge, and it was crazy. But 2's legit.
You think I could break 110?
No.
That was a legit number I was throwing out there.
No. So the kid that won.
One more time.
No. The kid that won. I'll back up. 2 was probably, my opinion, the hardest. I also thought it played the shortest. It was still like 7,000 yards.
Did you get a lot of rollout at the time
No.
or no?
No. 6, absolutely not. And that was probably the longest, in my opinion. I mean, I hit a lot of...
Were they all playing yardage-wise roughly the same?
Yep. Everything was around 7,000. I think they had number 2 is like 6,900. But Cookie was looking at the card, like the actual scorecard. I have one upstairs. I can show you guys. The actual scorecard, we only played like 3 holes that weren't U.S. Open tees.
Okay.
There was like 3 holes where there was like a huge difference. And we didn't play them. The one was like the 5th hole. I want to see the other one. It's like 5, 2, 5, and maybe it's a hole in the back 9. Other than that, we played the U.S. Open tees. But yeah, 6 was long, and it was wet. It was wetter over to 6. Like, we had conversations the day before with officials like, are we playing the ball up over there in the fairway? And they were like, no, we painted things off. And I'm like, dude, I didn't see shit painted off. I was over there today. Mud balls all over the place.
All right.
I got 2 holes in and I hit in the middle of the fairway on 11. And I looked down at my ball, and it was like half of it was mud. And I looked at Taylor, and I'm like, just give me the 8-iron. I don't know where this is going. Like, I have no idea where this thing's going. Like, half of my ball's like just, there's a tumor of mud. And I hit this thing and it almost like whistled, like just going all over the place. I'm like, well, I kind of expected that. So just go get up and down. 6 was really long. 6 was long courses too. Like, there's a lot of dog legs. And I want to say it's the 12th hole. It's one of the hardest holes on the course. You got to keep it towards the left side, because if you flare it a little bit right, the farther right it goes, the longer your second shot is.
So that hole's not good for me.
No. Want that one more time, too? Like, I know in the practice round, I hit driver 4-iron to get home. So then I knew, I'm like, I got to hug this left side. Everything kind of slopes one way. I hit driver down the middle. It sloped off. I had a 9-iron yardage. And Taylor's like, oh, dude, it's a hard 9-iron. I'm like, no, it's a full 8-iron today, pal. And he's like, why? I'm like, because this thing will come back at my feet. And the kid I'm playing with hit it up on the green. Thought he hit it on the green. Got it left like 2 yards short. Thing rolled 60 yards back down the hill.
That's crazy.
I'm like, I'll take 30 feet long, 20 feet long.
6 have a lot of elevation then?
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, they had a par 3 there.
Everything else looks, I'll say, relatively flat, but there's...
Ish. 2 still got some hills.
Right.
2's pretty hilly at times. 8 was pretty hilly. Dude, 6 had a par 3. And it was, I think it was the 7th hole. From the back tees we played it was 195 to cover the bunker. It was 225 to flag. Greens are a little bigger down there.
No thanks.
Oh, I forgot to mention, there's a pond that runs the entire length of the hole on the right side. And I watched 3 guys just bury 4 irons and driving irons in the front bunker.
That reminds me, I don't know what at Nag's Head. The one, there's a par 3, it's like 210. On the right, it's just a sound. There's a pond left, short. Now you got like between the pond and the green, there's like 30 yards, but the sound's all along the right. The wind's just coming off it, and it's like, good luck.
Now, Tobacco Road, you got to play it once. You might not like it. You might love it. You might hate it.
But you got to play it.
But you got to play it once. You got to play it once. Greens are really undulated. The sight lines are unreal. I don't think I've ever been in holes that deep that you played golf out of. I got home and I did some research. So the golf course was an old sand pit used to make gravel. And when they got done using it for that purpose, they built a golf course. So that's why there's like giant craters of just
Right.
And they don't call them bunkers. Everything's a waste area. Everything's like a preferred lie. And you just drive. There was a par 3, like 17. There was like lumps of grass down the hill. It was downhill. But everything else was just sand. You literally just drove through the sand as a cart path. There was no like, there was no like bunkers or whatever. But yeah, you got to do it once.
Any raccoon squirrels?
I saw 2 over at number 2. Saw a couple of them. That's what I want to ask you guys.
Did you feed them licorice?
No, I got to ask you guys this question. Did I already ask you?
Yeah, we talked about this.
They call them fox squirrels.
Fox squirrels?
Yeah. I have a hat that says fox squirrel. I do. Forgot I do until I just now.
And
fighting fox squirrels.
Unless, I can't remember if it was a starter or somebody in the Myrtle Beach area told me they were raccoon squirrels. I've Googled them too, so raccoon squirrels are a thing. So it might be just a slightly different species that's more inland.
Yeah. And it's like fox squirrels. I'm
I
like,
think we have fucking alligator squirrels next.
I hope not. I sure as hell hope not. The day we played number 8, it was cold. And I said to Dale, I'm like, kind of glad it's cold here, like cooler, because
Snakes.
I've heard stories. And then, sure as shit, like as you're out there walking around and see a snake, but they have like protected habitats out there on the course.
It's like those signs at River Valley.
No. Yeah. So like you knew, like they say, oh, in this area this species lives, and they have like pictures of it was like a nature walk type thing too. And I'm like, yeah, I'm seeing your rattlesnakes today. I even played one out of a hazard. I'm like, thank God it's a little cold today. Get down in here. They can bite into my ankles. I'll pass. But anyway, kid that won, he's like 28 years old now. He was an All-American at Clemson.
How old was he when you played?
At Clemson?
You said he's 28 now.
Yeah, I'm insinuating he's not in Clemson anymore.
All right.
He was All-American at Clemson. He played in the British Am a couple years ago. And then he made it to the he made the U.S. Mid-Am a couple years ago.
He played real well day one, and then I obviously still well compared to everybody else's scores, but he's still
79's. I'll take 79 at number 2. I mean, I don't know if he's played it before. So the kid that finished second is a 13-year-old. I mean, he was a pretty big kid for 13, but I think he also has played Pinehurst quite a bit, from what I gather.
Right.
Because he lives in like Georgia. Like all the winners are from like Georgia.
Right.
Literally, like from Georgia. Or that's where they're from.
How was Mario's kid? Mario Lemieux's kid.
Yeah. I told you guys he was there, right? I don't think I ever saw him. I never saw Mario in the flow, but I don't know if he was there. But yeah, his kid was there. Apparently his kid's trying to turn pro.
Yeah, Russ and I were texting about it.
Yeah, because he was playing hockey at Arizona State and just quit to pursue a golf career.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I didn't know he was there until after the first day.
yeah.
I can't remember who told me he was. I think Hurley told me he was there.
Yeah.
Dude, some good players. The guy I played with from Texas. Like, I joked the second day, but I'm like, dude, I don't want to creep you out, but I Googled you last night. Because he had a bag from Texas Tech. And I asked him, like, did you play at Texas Tech? He's like, yeah, I graduated in 2002. Then the other guy I played was the one I told you. He was Lanto Griffin's college roommate. They played at VCU together, and he was like, dude, he wasn't that good in college. And
now that kid's pissed.
that kid caddied for one of his other friends who made it on tour for like 2 years. He's like, yeah, I caddied. His name was like Ted Brown or something like that. He's like, he made it for like 2 years. He's like, it was the best 2 years of my life. Had a blast. I was single, didn't have any kids. Anyway, the guy from Texas played at Tech, graduated in 2002. He won the West Texas Amateur like 4 years ago, and he made it to the semis of the U.S. Mid-Am like 4 years ago. That's how close he was to the Masters.
That's crazy.
Yeah. He was cool dude. Little guy. He hit it pretty good for a little dude. He can move it out there, but dude, we had a blast in number 2 together. Like, he kind of like loosened up a little bit. Dude, he was funny as hell. Dude, they come by at one point because they're all worried about the daylight thing the day before, and then the clocks change. All right. We're on like the 14th hole, and some guy comes by. He's like, hey, anything you guys can do, to just keep up with the group in front of you. And I'm like, okay, group in front of us just got to the green. Group behind us isn't even on the tee. But that's what they're doing. They were just going around.
Keep it moving.
Yeah. Anything you can do. So we get on like 16. We're all in the fairway, and like Dave and I are right next to each other. And he's like, can we get home here? I'm like, I don't know, Taylor, what do you got for a number? And I can't remember what the number was. Dave's like, well, we should probably hit into him, anything we can do to keep it going. And then when we get up there, be like, he told us anything we can do. And then we're on 17T. I'm like, Dave, you want to go tell those guys, keep moving? He's like, yeah, I'll go over there. Don't shoot the messenger, but anything you guys can do just to pick it up. They were doing that. They were driving around like telling people, like, no one's behind.
Right.
Everyone was flowing, but got to make the trip.
Right. And you got to expect to play a touch slower there, right? A lot of guys probably haven't played there, or if so, obviously you're not playing there all the time.
Right.
Tough course, long compared to what most people are.
You can hit it really good. It's still going to take you 4.5 hours just to get to your damn golf ball.
If you guys put in 7 miles, I'd be putting in about 10.
But the place is unreal. So you're moving, like, how close are you to there?
About 2 hours.
Make the trip.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe 2 hours.
So Tobacco Road is an
how's it far from like Raleigh area?
hour, exactly an hour.
Hour which way?
South.
Oh, then I'm probably like an hour away. I'm 2 hours southeast of Raleigh.
You're 2 hours southeast, so you're probably okay. So it'd be
an hour and a half or
west.
So. Yeah.
Yeah, that's Raleigh was an hour because we dropped Hurley off at the airport. Yeah, you got to make the trip. Tobacco Road's like 20 minutes north, right on the road. But even if you can't play, like if you don't want to play one of the Pinehurst courses, just go over and see it. There's other courses over that you can play, like in the Pinehurst area, but just stop in there. You don't have to. That's what's incredible about it. You do not have to be like, hey, it's not like showing up Indian Hills and be like, I got tea time today, right?
Right.
If you show up Indian Hills and like sat in the putting green for 3 hours, you'd be like, who is this guy?
Right.
Is he playing today or is he just here? That doesn't happen there. They got a putting green. It's like the size of an acre. And you can walk over to the range and just start hitting balls. And a guy will come by when your bucket gets low. He'll fill it back up. You don't buy range balls. You could go down there and spend a week practicing and no one will say a damn thing to you. They don't care. There's that many people around. It literally was like the golf mecca. It was unreal. And yes, the par 3 course was so much fun.
Was it?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It looked like, I think Hurley posted a couple of videos.
He got one of me when I was hammered.
Right
after I chipped in.
Yeah. That's what it was.
Whoops. But that's only like, that's what we were saying. Like we rented that house. The house wasn't that expensive for, you split it.
Right.
Like, dude, we need to get a bunch of guys down there and just go do it. You just got to do it. Like, who cares if you spend $350 or whatever it is and play number 2? Like, you just got to do it.
Yeah.
You just have to do it. And yeah, get a bunch of guys, go down, make the trip, spend the night, like one of the days in the evening, go over and play the par 3 course. It takes you less than an hour to play. do the they call it Thistle Do. It's like a little putting course on the putting green. People just got hammered and just like did that repeatedly. That's what people did. We had some like random dude who's like, "Hey, can I join you guys?" We're like, "Yeah, sure. Let me go get a drink." Like disappears, comes back 3 minutes later, and like, yeah, that's what people do. It was unbelievable. I came home and I sat in Allie's house. I'm like, let's pack our shit. Let's get out of here. I don't want to be here. I can't wait to go back. Like I would leave tomorrow and go back just to practice. Just to practice.
I'll be back in a month.
Yeah, so make the trip. It's like, yeah, if it's whatever it is, even if it's a couple hours, just, especially if you can be down there alone.
I will be for a couple months.
Dude, just seriously, like, if I were you, I'd get up on like on a Saturday and just drive over there and spend the day practicing.
We're about to find out how far it is.
Yeah.
I don't need the weather app.
So type in Pinehurst number 2. That's the main facility. They'll take you to the parking lot. It's just, dude, I tried taking pictures. You can't put it in perspective. Like, you walk up the sidewalk towards the clubhouse. You come around the clubhouse, and you're like, holy shit. Like, there's places this big. Like, par 3 course, putting green. It's all, like, interconnected there. Chipping areas. Range. The range has a building on it's bigger than most clubhouses in this area. And it's just to sell clubs and do club repair. That's all it's in there, and some bathrooms.
When we went to Myrtle last year, Russ was like, wait till you see this putting green. We walked out. First of all, we pull up to, like, a castle, clubhouse is, and then go out back in the hole.
Creaking over here.
Barking spiders. Gets us. We go out behind the clubhouse, and the putting green must be 300 yards by like 50 yards.
Is that the one you told me they call it like the runway or?
No, that was it.
No, that's the one Nate told us about.
Penn State, right?
Well, Penn State's got the runway or whatever, something like that. But somebody else was telling me, I thought it was you guys that had like a big one that had a name for it.
Yeah, this one didn't have a name, but it's
just huge.
It sounds like it's probably like the size of one of Pinehurst. Yeah.
Dude, it's ridiculous.
2 hours. I mean,
dude, seriously. Get up in the morning, grab coffee, and just drive over there. I'm not shitting you, dude. I'd be over there like every other weekend if I lived where you were living.
Probably got to find a house first.
Buy a house in Southern Pines. And then just take the 2-hour trip to work since you're working remotely. Screw them. Yeah, we got to make the trip though at some point. We'll figure it out. But yeah, we've already talked about like, so the house we stayed in, she owned the one next door too. And Hurley went over and just asked the people saying, like, hey, how many bedrooms you got? They had like 2. So it was like between 2 houses, there was 5 bedrooms. There was room. Like Taylor crashed on a couch for 3 days.
And then they charged him the whole price that they paid for the house.
Dude, I hooked that boy up. He didn't pay for shit when he was there.
He had a bib and everything.
Well, yeah, I had to pay for the bib.
Well, yeah, but
yeah,
he had the bib.
He had the bib. Dude, I bought him some stuff.
He got exercise.
Dude, that's a big one. Cardio. Dude, the one morning, typical T. Willis. You're going to love hearing this story, T. Willis. We get up in the morning. He's walking around without a shirt on in the house. He goes out back on the deck, Hurley smoking a cigarette. He pulls out his tin. He goes, geez, I'm so glad I'm not addicted to those damn cigarettes. Throws a big lipper in.
Wait, wasn't this summer when he spent the night on Hurley's couch and Hurley was like, I don't know who he is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Forgot about that. I had to go pick him up the next day. That was during best ball.
It's a good thing.
It's the weekend he lost his hair. Yeah. So anyway, Pinehurst trip, put on the calendar at some point. We'll figure it out, but we got to do that. I'd be so willing to pay to play number 2 again. I'd like to play 4. And I don't know what other ones.
They got a deal. You could just play all of them.
They have packages there.
For $10,000, you can play them all.
They have packages there. It's like, it'd be weird because I wouldn't want to stay there.
Right.
But you can do like 2-night stay, 3 courses for like $1,100, which isn't terrible, I guess. But
yeah,
can do that and then make the 3-hour drive to Myrtle Beach. Play down there for the rest of the week.
Yeah.
Now there's a couple houses you can stay out in the Wilmington, Myrtle area.
Well, we got to hook up Pinehurst now too. I'll tell you guys about that later. We paid $175 for a practice round at number 6. And the guy was like, dude, I could have got you on for $65.
Why didn't you tell me before?
Gee, thanks.
What we didn't realize though is what we paid for practice rounds Like those are the practice rounds they offered, and then it was a shotgun start. It was for the tournament, so it wasn't like you were just making a tee time. They shotgun started you.
Oh,
So you played a practice round with like everybody in the tournament.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Did a lot of? I think Jason said he hired a caddy one day.
He hired a caddy on there too. He said it helped him a lot, just because the guy was like reading greens and stuff for him.
Right.
But
Cookie didn't at all.
Cookie didn't. No, I had,
Well, you already had a
I
caddy.
had Taylor.
You didn't pay him, right? He worked for free.
Oh no. I didn't pay him, but
He made you pay.
he did not buy any food. He didn't buy any beer. I bought him some stuff in the pro shop.
The hell of a deal.
He made out pretty good.
It's a good deal.
He-
T. Will, you better be thanking him.
At one point, he
You better
looked at
send
me.
him flowers.
He looked at me. He's like, "You're not gonna let me pay for shit this weekend." I, no, I'm not. He made sure he was taken care of.
In that case, you could have had 3 caddies probably.
It was worth it, dude. I'm glad he got to experience it too, because I know it's one of those things like you wish you could have been swinging the clubs, right?
Right.
But he's like, just being here and like and seeing it was crazy. Like when he called me, first of all, I was telling Ross, again, T. Willis, thank you. I knew he was already going to be in Florida, and he was like, "Yeah, let's make the trip up." It was 8 hours.
Right.
It was still an 8-hour drive back to Pinehurst, and he made the trip. I'm like, dude, that's I didn't realize it was that far, but yeah, he like left early in the morning. I'm like, bring your clubs. Like you literally can just practice here. Like if you're just hanging out, like nobody cares. He was lurking on some LPGA chick. Her sister was playing in the women's. Didn't have the balls to go talk to her when we saw her.
That part surprises me.
Right?
Oh, they didn't go talk to her.
Yeah.
I thought you meant that he was lurking on.
Saw her on the putting green one day, and I think in the chipping area the one day, and he was like, "I can't." I'm like, "Dude, come on, just have you met Taylor?"
But he'll swipe right on somebody.
Yeah. I don't know what he was. Yeah.
He's probably gonna be lurking around Augusta this weekend at the women's, amateur.
He's coming home. He's driving home.
Maybe he's stopping.
He might
at
be
Augusta,
stopping
the
at
women's
Augusta.
amateur first.
He's gonna show up with one. He's actually just gonna pull in the town of Augusta and open up Tinder and see who he can catch. Just like, nothing here, boys. Let's keep it moving.
My God.
I'm gonna miss having him around all summer. It's fun.
Oh man.
Yeah, dude. I wish. Yeah, the one guy I played with, he had like a bunch of friends down there. Just like, "Oh, dude, you're going to Pinehurst? I'm going to hang out." And that's exactly what they did. Like, he had 5 or 6 friends that show up, and like one of them caddied the one day, and then they just hung out just partied all week. But it's so weird there too. Like town, very uncommercialized. Like you can try to look up some pictures, but the hotels don't look like hotels. They look
Right.
like giant ass houses, like bigger than that, but everything's like kind of like the old school rustic. Just everything's white. Like even the bank downtown was just like a white building on the street. Had like a little sign out front. Went to an Irish pub the one night, listened to some guy do karaoke. Tried to get Rupert to come. Rupert did not show up. I saw him at Tobacco Road.
I talked to him yesterday.
Yeah. Apparently he blamed it on Burdett. Burdett blamed it on him. No, you're both are old fuckers. You just didn't want to show up. You play 18 holes and you call it a day. But got to make the trip. Yeah, I got to play Tobacco Road. That was... Play it with, if you can, with someone who's played there before.
It wasn't
Because
easy.
once we got to the back nine, like there were some moments I was like, "Oh shit, it goes that way." We were on this par 5, and like Hurley blocked his tee shot. Cookie and I hit it down the middle. We get up there. Hurley's in better shape than all of us. He's like on the second fairway up on top of the hill. Cookie's like, "Where's this go? Where's the green?" I'm like, "Over there." I'm looking. I had a yardage book. I'm like, I don't know. I'll just lay up. He hits 3 woodies like on the next hole. He's like, he gets over top of the knoll. He goes, "Dude, Kyle, hole goes that way," and he's like, point. It's all like, I remember like laying up, and then I don't know where the flag is, and I'm like trying to look because there's this giant like bunker in front of the green. You cannot see any of the green, and I look over and like Hurley's on a 40-foot mound billy goat looking for his ball. I'm like, what is going on? So I just hit it what I thought was the green. We get up there. Hurley's like, "Dude, that almost went in." I'm like, "I didn't know where the flag was." "What do you mean almost went in?" He goes, "Oh, rolled by the hole and it came back." It was just like there were some holes out there. It was like a complete shit show because we had no idea where we were going. But you got to do it once.
All right.
Once. At least once. There was Jimmy Fee was there. He was in the parking lot. We were getting our stuff on. He said, "You guys ever played here?" We're like, "No." He's like, "Oh yeah, yeah. You guys are in for it today." So, well, enough about my shenanigans, boys. What else you got? I'm trying to get Russ to go to Arizona in February on an airplane.
Yeah, that probably ain't happening.
I don't know. Waste management tickets, golf in Arizona.
We'll see.
Oh, yeah. See, we're closer.
It's also a vacation time issue.
Yeah,
A lot of shit we have that we do throughout the summer.
it's true. I forgot about that.
Yep.
Sabres are about to get their first win in 19 games.
Yeah.
Is it over yet?
It's up
No.
5-1 though.
But there's only
If they blow a 5-1 lead in 5 minutes, there's other issues.
if we were at the casino,
I've been
put
throwing money on.
at least a couple dollars on Philadelphia right now. I don't even know if we want to get into this. Feels like there's a lot going on in the UFC, kind of, sort of.
We do need to get into this, I think.
So the heavyweight, there were other fights, but big headline from this past weekend. So Francis Ngannou beat Stipe Miocic to win, not retain, win the heavyweight championship. Stipe in that category now where many people consider him the greatest heavyweight UFC's ever seen. I think that's a little bit debatable, but he's definitely in that conversation.
Right.
So Ngannou's on top of that mountain now with his deadly power, maybe the most raw power we've ever seen in the UFC.
100%.
He looked way more patient, way more calculated. He looked like a much better fighter this time. This was the second time he's fought Stipe. I think when he first fought Stipe, I don't even know when that was, but he was still a raw home run hitter back then, less of a fighter.
That punch he knocked out with, I said it while we were watching, was like you said it perfectly. He was patient because he threw the right, knew and Stipe would cover, and then look back up. Yeah. And he just held off on it and then threw a straight left into him and just
and lights out.
Yeah.
Yep. So I think most fans, the general assumption, right, is that John Jones is now going to step in to the heavyweight division.
Looks like weight-wise he's ready.
Yes, he's huge.
Monster.
So the assumption is he's going to step right in and, in theory, get the title shot against Francis Ngannou right away. I don't think it's any secret we're big-time John Jones fans here. He's got some good points, but he's starting to get into that category of guys that I wish would just shut up on Twitter.
Correct.
So Dana White had some comments after the Ngannou-Miocic fight. Somebody asked him about John Jones, and I didn't watch the press conference, but I saw the 30-second clip, and the vibe that I got was that Dana was not taking a shot at John Jones. He was praising Ngannou, giving him his moment. He said something about, well, John Jones might want to go back down to light heavyweight or 185 or something. Yeah. I took that more as, this is Ngannou's night. I'm going to give him the comment that why would anyone want to face him right now?
Right.
And John Jones took it as an insult that he didn't belong in heavyweight or something like that. And I maybe that's just my interpretation, but John Jones kind of ran with that on Twitter. And
I said to Ron yesterday, I said, I wish I could just pull John and be like, John, just shut up.
Yeah.
Like, to me, or John or any fighter, let's not take your negotiations to social media.
Yes, 100%.
To me, that's not good if you're trying to get your way. Getting people to jump in and be like, yeah, you're right. Like, that doesn't help your negotiations.
Trust me, Dana White is not getting on Twitter and going through the comments to see what Joe Schmo thinks about his negotiations.
Right.
That's not happening.
And my thing, too, is John immediately started tweeting, like, dude, it's Saturday night. Can we let Monday happen?
Yeah.
They do matchmaking on Tuesdays.
So, John Jones even said in one of these tweets that he was supposed to receive an offer this week. So if you haven't even received your formal offer for the fight yet, then why are you going off?
Right.
If you receive the offer and you think it's insulting and then you want to comment on that afterwards, okay, I can at least understand that. But why are you insulting the money figures that are being thrown at you when you haven't seen them
They're
yet?
figurative at this point.
Right. I don't get that.
So apparently he did tweet today, I saw it, and he said that he, again, took it to Twitter, talked to UFC lawyers. I told him 8 to 10 million is not enough. And then Derek Lewis was like, I'll do it for 8 million. Then, of course, someone tweeted John and said, Derek Lewis, they'd do it for 8 million. And John said, of course you would. He also doesn't have 15 title defenses, which is a valid point.
Yes, it is.
But I don't understand, like, putting it out there, what benefit that is. Like, you don't need to do that. Like, you look more, I think you'd be easier to work with if you're not putting that shit on social media.
Yeah.
And those contracts, right, don't include pay-per-view money.
Some of them do.
Some do.
It
shares.
Depends on the contract.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
yeah, he could have it written in there that, you're getting a flat fee of 10 million plus whatever 1% of all pay-per-view income or something. I don't know. Maybe obviously they're talking numbers that we don't understand, but even with all John Jones, in my opinion, the greatest fighter ever, I still don't quite see how 8 to 10 million is insulting for a fight.
I don't either.
So I was trying to think, like,
But he's claiming that it's
that's
because
for one fight, right?
Yeah, he said he was grossly underpaid throughout his 20s.
And you say that's for 25 minutes of fighting, right? Obviously, you got to go through camp and everything else, right?
Yeah.
But it's 25 minutes of fighting. And we see all these other guys, NBA in particular, that, they're making, I mean, when these guys get these huge contracts, they're like, oh, they're going to make, $500,000 every half a basketball game or, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like, that amount of money for 25 minutes, right, you're putting your body through a lot and everything else, but it seems like a lot of money. Obviously, I don't know everybody else's contracts, but that's a lot of money for 25 minutes of fighting.
So let's say this fight would happen in July, like fight week.
It'd be a hell of a card right now.
Yeah. So let's say he got 10 million plus, I don't know what percentage they give, but let's say 1%, 0.5% of pay-per-view sales, which is a huge number. And then,
which would be a lot of pay-per-views because Connor's on that card now.
Right.
Or that's the pretty
pretty
solid rumor.
So let's say Jones took that and then wins and then defends the heavyweight title in December. There's always that huge card the last week of December.
Yep.
And you have a similar deal. So another 10 million, and let's say each one of those fights he's getting $5 million worth of
right. So this year he could bring in 30 million.
So you could pull in,
not including sponsorships,
probably 30 to 40 million dollars in one calendar year. I
fight twice.
I don't know what figures he's looking for, but it's hard to call that insulting.
Right, I agree.
It might not be what you want, but it's not insulting either.
Right. And he put it out there that, do you guys think this is as big as Tyson Fury? And I guess there's two ways you can look at this. My opinion is Tyson Fury is not worth the money they're getting paid. In my opinion, like boxing is just like a weird, like
to me that's a tough question to answer without being very biased. Right. We're UFC fans. We're not boxing fans.
Right.
So we're always going to lean on the UFC side of that.
Mm-hmm.
If you happen to be an enormous boxing fan and don't like UFC, you're going to lean on that side of it.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure too many people can answer that without bias. And can he argue he was underpaid through his 20s? I guess so. You can also argue that the UFC was not as financially stable as it is now.
Right.
How
15 years ago. He's
31,
30. Nah, I think he's
a couple years younger
than me.
Yeah.
I think he's like 33-ish, 32, 33.
Somewhere in
that range.
Yeah.
But either way, you're talking 10 years ago because he was the youngest champ ever at 22.
Somewhere in there.
So he's referring to age years 22 to 25.
Right, UFC probably wasn't big money till what? Maybe like 3-4 years ago? 5 years ago?
That's hard to exactly put it. To me, you can probably follow Conor McGregor's trajectory and match that with the UFC's.
As far as payouts, yeah.
Yeah. if you feel like you were underpaid in a couple fights 10 years ago, I don't know.
Can't try to
to me,
recoup
that's
it now.
not a negotiation tactic now.
Right. I mean, he makes some valid points. Like he said to somebody today, he goes, "I literally met a fighter the other day. Couldn't remember how old he was. Like it's brutal. Like your next fight could be your last fight, and I understand that.
Yeah,
and we don't. I mean, who knows? But I get it, he's just trying to make money now, but just don't put it on social media. Just that should not be your negotiating tactic.
Yeah, if he has all these concerns and he talks about him closed door with Dana White and Lorenzo Fertitta, and those
probably
guys,
goes over better.
Then so be it.
It probably goes over way better. It probably is easier conversation. You don't, but it's the same time, like the thing that got me, and I think I tweeted the other day and said, if you think John Jones, because literally, I'm going to call him casuals, said that John Jones is afraid to fight Ngannou. Like, if you think he's afraid of him, I got a bridge I want to sell you.
Yeah,
and you probably think Jake Paul's a real fighter.
That theory quote. That theory is one of the dumbest out there.
And even Cormier came out today and said,
"Yes,
everything between John and I, put that aside." He said, "If you think John's afraid of him, he's not."
Right.
He said, and he goes, "It's not like Stipe's fought him twice. He beat him once. Derek Lewis fought him." He goes, "And if there's anybody that's going to put a puzzle together and beat Ngannou right now, it's John.
Yeah, it's
going to be John."
Yep.
So. I don't know, dude. I just think I'm with you with the whole like taking to social media and stuff. I mean, Connor's doing it this week. Like, I want to be like, dude, shut up.
I was gonna say we went through this with Connor when he went on his hiatus and ended up fighting Floyd Mayweather. All this Twitter crap led up to that.
Yeah, and he was doing it again this week, and like him and Nate Diaz are getting into it. And I'm like, dude, you can't talk about them making a belt after you when you've lost 2 of your last 3, and your only win is, no disrespect, but to Cowboy Cerrone.
Yeah.
Like you lost to Khabib, you lost to Poirier. Mm-hmm. And now you think the UFC should make a belt after you? Like, what?
You got pretty dominated by those two. It wasn't like they were close.
Yeah. And I still don't think he makes adjustments and beats Poirier. I still think that. No. But apparently that fight's happening again in July.
Yep.
Poirier turned down a title fight because he'll make more money fighting Conor McGregor.
Yep. Which, I don't know.
And even Michael.
We're having money talk, but I don't agree with that. To me, yes, you're trying to make a living, but the number one reason you're in this is to win a championship.
Right.
And it's not like you're not going to get paid in a championship fight.
And then the other one that killed me was Michael Chandler, who's going to be fighting for the belt. He's going to fight Charles Oliveira, right?
Yep.
And not against Chandler, but I'm like, dude, that doesn't make sense at all. He said, well, if I win the belt, then I'll turn around and defend it against Conor. Why would you fight Conor? He's not, in my opinion, Conor doesn't deserve a title shot.
Right.
If Conor's fighting Poirier, first of all, you got to have that fight happen to figure out which one of them is deserving.
And even if Conor wins, still doesn't deserve a title shot, in my opinion. Yeah. Now you've won. Yeah.
If Conor beats Poirier, then to me, you got to give Gaethje another shot at it.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. Apparently Gaethje hasn't had a conversation with anybody. So.
Yeah.
And Nate Diaz is coming back in May.
Yes. Fighting the first ever 5-round co-main event.
Non-title.
Is not for a title.
Yeah.
Which I thought was interesting.
He wants to fight 5 rounds.
Oh, yeah. I forget who he's fighting.
I can't remember, but yeah.
I would have said that already. It was someone random that I.
Yeah, it was.
It was a weird matchup.
Does he just want to go fight because he thinks he can outlast him? Or?
He'd just rather fight 5 rounds if he's going to come fight. Doesn't want to fight 3. That's just.
You get more money for fighting 5 versus 3, so it's
not usually. I don't think so.
But I think his mentality is, if I'm going to show up a fight, I'd rather fight for 5 rounds than 3.
You probably do, but that's because it's usually for a belt, not
right.
Because it's 5 rounds.
And let's be honest, like Diaz's fights are kind of entertaining. So I want to say his last fight. I don't know. You'd have to look that up. But
so the one that was just announced is with Leon Edwards.
Okay, yes, he's going to fight Leon Edwards. What was his last fight? I want to say it was like 3 rounds. It was one of those fights where like they wanted to go 5.
Wasn't it
Masvidal?
Yeah, it wasn't Masvidal.
Yeah,
which was Doctor
the bad motherfucker belt. Yeah, it was called.
Masvidal's fighting Usman again.
Yeah,
I don't know when that is. There's some good fights coming up.
Yes, there are.
Some really good fights this summer coming up. So I'm looking forward to that. All right. Anything else, gentlemen?
We'll have to talk about free agency another day.
Dude.
A lot. Everything's going on.
Dude.
Unless these people want to hear us talk for another
When are you
half hour,
coming
but
back?
I'll be back here next week.
No, I'm talking about like up here. Like
I have no idea.
Because I'm still going to do a live stream, I think, for the draft.
When's that?
The 29th is the first night. April.
I do virtually. I'll have it set up in the hotel room.
Yeah, I'm going to do the 29th of April live if you want to come over and do that again. I think the draft's going to be fun to do this year just because.
We already got, there's already been a ton of movement already.
Well, because of that, because I think we followed college football more this year and just everything going on with the NFL with quarterbacks and all that shit.
Right.
So
I don't disagree, but we also said the same thing last year, and that kind of sucked.
we kind of winging it last year, but anyway.
Baseball starts tomorrow.
Yeah.
Or
dude, I'm
today,
so
as you guys are
loop.
probably listening to this. But I'm excited for baseball. Mainly because fucking Sabres suck.
I'm just hoping we don't get snow tonight so I can at least play golf sometime this weekend.
It's definitely snowing.
Well, 40% chance, according to Apple.
They keep lowering the inches. My parents had to bring my snow shovel back over because I had already given it to them because I didn't want it. So my mom brought it back over. I told them I had a push broom I could just use.
Now we're up to 100% chance between 3 and 4 a.m.
I think it's only like 1 to 3 inches now.
Yeah.
Originally it was like 5 to 10, and then
So if you only get 1 to 3, I wouldn't even bother shoveling.
Right.
Probably gone by the weekend.
Yep. All right, gents. Well, until next time, T-Dub's going to be in the house, I think, next week. He's making a reappearance. He misses us. We know this. We know why he's really coming back, but whatever. All right, gentlemen.